Yeah, we're doing school first.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can get out of here.
All set?
Tell me about it.
First,
Tell me about it.
Lee, Dave got that information that you were looking for. Dave? Balcony. Dave?
Oh, sorry. So I got demoted way back here, so I just want to come forward. So I found the information persistently, and I find it, you know, really important because obviously salaries make up a huge part of a school budget. Most people, businesses. So, and I can get caught. This isn't any sacred information. It's public information. I can make, after I'm done, I can make some copies. If you want copies, tell me if you do or you don't. But so the rankings, my memory served me right on the state rankings. And the ranking is only, they don't rank through all the steps, all the way through because, some schools have more steps than others. It's pretty convoluted. But so they go with the BA Max and the MA Max, the BA Max and the and the Masters Max. And it was out of 172 school districts in the state of Maine.
Yep.
This data, and Acton, as I had said, we're a little above average on the state average. It is 67 for the B. We are 67 out of 172 on the BA Max, and we're 70 out of 172 on the MA Max. Okay. Now, obviously, Maine is a very diverse state as far as the level of income and so forth. A lot of the districts up Maine are the ones that are, a lot of the lower ones, our population centers tend to be some of the higher ones. When you look at York County, and my memory served me right, I'm so happy about that because it doesn't always. We are fifth from the bottom out of 14 districts, okay, for our salary. And it on both the BA and the MA Max, it was consistent, fifth from the bottom out of 14.
Okay.
Now, which as what I had figured, it was we're again a little below average in the average in York County. What I find really important in this, because our theme, the school committee negotiators, and from the teacher side, our theme in this last contract negotiations, as I said earlier, was really about, attracting teachers to the school. And one of the things that is kind of a glaring thing, and it still is, that when you look at Acton competing, let's look at the three closest districts to Acton, which is in this York County data. What are they? They are Noble, over here, that borders us. Sanford, of course, where we send our high school kids, and Massabesic, basically Shapley and Lyman and Alfred and so forth. Out of those three districts, the only district that ranks lower than us out of those three is Noble. 2 out of the 3 districts that are closest to us are significantly higher in the rankings. So when you're looking, that a lot of our teachers come from the population centers, not right here. There's some other districts right in our neighborhood that Acton's competing with, and a lot of these teachers drive right through Sanford, drive right through Massabesic, that have better salary structures than we do. Now, why? There's more to the story, because as they've alluded to, this is a great place to be, and education is valued, and it is, it's been a really positive place. So it's not just all about the numbers, as we know, but that is kind of hits you a little bit. So when you're comparing apples to apples, I think we're shaking out somewhere in the middle, either side of the middle, if you look apples to apples. This does not include some of these other incentive things. Literally, in the contracts in the state of Maine, there are incentives for, as I had said, bringing in new teachers, retaining teachers, over the long term, stuff like that, and it varies far and wide. So this is just salary data. And I wanted to be
Not the
clear.
benefits and the pension plans.
No, I don't have. I don't have that data. I just have the salary
Do
data.
they accumulate
Well, I actually can probably get you like the basic percent. I might be able to get you some of that stuff.
That'd
Let
be
me work
great.
on it.
Thank you.
So I don't want to take much of your time, but I felt it
No.
was really important because
I appreciate it.
it's a big deal. Do you guys want any copies of this? It's public data, or that good enough?
I'd
I can do it right now.
Yeah,
I would like a copy, but I like the idea of looking at the total compensation package if you have
Yeah.
those rankings.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
might not be able to get all of it. Let me work. I'll get you the
That's fine.
salaries, and I'll see what I can do on rankings on the other stuff.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll be voting on the school, and then after we finish the school, we do have some town, articles that we need to revisit. So, after the school, we're not quite done. John, you're gonna be voting today because we're missing Phil, so you're voting.
I vote every day.
You're-
Yes.
Aren't you a, alternate? No?
No,
We're missing, who's the alternate?
Charlie.
Lee and
Charlie?
Lee
Oh,
and
okay, I'm
Charlie.
sorry, I thought it was you, John. Lee, you're voting,
I am?
yes. Okay, all right.
We're starting with Article 10.
We're starting Article 10, yes. To see what the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for regular instruction. The Warrant and Finance Committee recommends to expend $3,100,956.16 for regular instruction. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 11, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for special education. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $1,392,900 for special education.
Second.
You getting the seconds?
Yep.
Motion? Okay.
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 12, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for career and technical education. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $0 for career and technical education.
Second that.
Second it.
Any discussion? All in
Please,
favor?
please speak up when you're second and that.
All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Article 13, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for other instruction. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $66,443 for other instruction.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 14, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for student and staff support. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $571,712.81 for student and staff support.
Move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 15, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for system administration. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $256,573 for system administration.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 16, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for school administration. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $299,542 for school administration.
Second.
that.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 17, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for student transportation. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $385,350 for student transportation.
Second it.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 18, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for facilities maintenance. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $551,916 for facilities maintenance.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 19, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for debt service and other commitments. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $0 for debt service.
Second that.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 20, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to spend for all other expenses, including nutrition. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $4,000 for all other expenditures, including nutrition.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 21, to see what sum,
Me too.
I'm sorry,
Look at it. I'll see how it's written.
okay, to see what sum the municipality will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, recommend $4,540,785, and to see what sum the municipality will raise as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, recommend $3,921,466 in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15688. Explanation, the school department's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, is the amount of money determined by state law to be the minimum amount that a municipality may raise to receive the full amount of state dollars. The Warrant and Finance recommends to appropriate $4,540,785 for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, and to raise $3,921,466 as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12. Total combined state and local, $4,540,785, less state subsidy, minus $619,319. The amount required by the state from the town, $3,921,466.
Second.
Any discussion?
Under the explanation, you read the municipality may raise instead of must raise. No big deal. Just wanted to make sure that the verbiage was correct.
Yeah, picture.
Must raise.
Yeah.
It says must raise. Must raise.
I thought I heard them say may.
It says must.
It
It's
does
written
say must, so if I did say may, it was,
should
It was
I
a must
misspoke.
instead of a may.
yeah.
All right.
Sorry,
It's one of those brain
There's a lot of
things.
words in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Article 22. This article requires a written ballot. To see what sum the municipality will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, recommend $1,679,302 that exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model. Recommend $1,679,302 as required to fund the budget recommended by the school committee. Warrant and Finance recommends raising and appropriating $1,679,302 in additional funds, and gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's essential programs and service allocation model by $1,679,302. Essential programs and services allocation model does not fully support all the costs of a pre-K through 12 program. These funds support programming not included in the essential programs and services model, including transportation, nutrition, and other educational support programs.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 23.
Is that a no?
Abstention.
Okay, you gotta voice that.
Yeah.
I'm abstaining on that one.
We have two of them.
You gotta speak up, what'd you say?
On 22?
Yes, I abstained on that one.
Sorry, I thought I saw your hand.
Reason?
I'd like to see the details of how those dollars are spent. But it's not appropriate to prevent it from going through. But from my perspective, I don't have a good understanding exactly what those added expenses do for the overall education.
Thank you.
Article 23 summarizes the proposed school budget. To see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025, from the school department's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 is described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act. Non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. Warrant and Finance recommends to expend $6,629,393.30
Second.
for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025 to fund public education from grades pre-kindergarten to grade 12. You still a second?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 24. Authorize expenditures of grants and other receipts. Article 24, shall the school committee be authorized to expend other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, and other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. Warrant and Finance recommends to authorize the expenditure of grants and other funds as per Article 24.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 25, authorizes a transfer to and expenditure from the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund. Article 25, to see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserves account, and to authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed in its discretion. This account is used for repairs and maintenance of the building and parking lots. Warrant and Finance recommends to transfer $325,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserves account to replace flooring, sidewalk improvements, roof repair, security doors, and security upgrades.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 26, to see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated minor capital project reserves account, and to authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed in its discretion. This account is used for minor projects. The Warrant and Finance recommends to transfer $54,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated minor capital project reserves account to replace the kitchen dishwasher and convection oven, and to purchase AEDs for the school.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 27, authorizes a transfer to and expenditure from the fuel reserve fund. To see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated fuel reserves account, and to authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed in its discretion. Warrant and Finance recommends to transfer $10,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated fuel reserve account to replace used funds.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 28 authorizes a transfer to and expenditure from the Tuition and Assistive Technology Reserve Fund. Article 28, to see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated Tuition and Assistive Technology Reserve account, and to authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account. This account is used for purposes of covering unexpected new residents moving in with high school students, homeschool students deciding to attend charter schools or the high school, and new residents with students having special needs. Warrant and Finance recommends to transfer $75,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated Tuition and Assistive Technology Reserves account for salary and benefits for a teacher hired after fiscal year 2023-24 school town vote.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Can I just go back to Article 22 that Lee had questions on? He abstained.
Yes.
Just to give a little piece, so when you get to vote in the actual vote.
We already did the actual vote.
Yeah,
Huh?
We did the actual
that was
vote.
our
Oh.
actual
Oh, you
vote.
mean for, at town meeting?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, sorry. So when you look down in the explanation, it includes transportation. We don't have to provide transportation to the high school. That's in their essential programs and services at the state level. But we do, we provide to go to Sanford. Another thing, it says nutrition, we don't have to provide it, but we do. Another thing is pre-K. We don't have to provide it, but we do. I'm sure they can think of other things.
Full-time music teachers, full-time art teachers.
But let me tell you why. They base it on the population of the school. They say if you have 200 kids, you're allowed a 2-day-a-week art teacher, 2-day-a-week gym teacher. Well, we decided a long time ago, we actually had 3/5 people here before, actually, and we got them up to 4/5 and then 5 days a week. So because of our population, they would say, you know what, you only get a gym teacher for 2 days a week. So that's, if you read the state, it's based on population, and we give more. So that's, it adds up. I mean, right there for the transportation is probably a lot of money.
And that also pertains to your library, to your school nurse, and to your social worker. Those all would fall in that category. And, you know, we as a school committee have felt for a long time that our kids really, it's very important for them to have all those things, for all the kids to be able to have music and art and all those extra things that, and to have the services of the library every day.
And the nurse was bumped up from 3 to 5 days because there was a lot of medication that needed to be handed out, and we didn't think the secretary should be handing out medication when she wasn't around, so that ended up being bumped up 5 days a week. But
I appreciate the explanation, thank you.
That's where that comes from.
And this is constant, every year that article's in there, every year we
Yeah.
do what we have to do, what we want to do, and do what we have to do.
Thank you.
Anything else? That concludes the school budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
We really appreciate you working with us this year. It's been good.
Even without the cookies, it was.
I
know! She was hoping that you guys would know.
I've been really
Joyce raved about your cookies at the beginning of.
At the beginning, at the beginning of the year, I raved about it.
That was the incentive she gave us for us coming to all of these meetings.
So Article 34 was the article that we had a lot of discussion at previous select board meetings about why there was so much in there and kind of what was really needed. So we turned to our newly hired accountant consultant, and he reviewed this article. The select board have reviewed it. And essentially, if you look at the previous, we have struck out more than the whole second half. So it's going to now just read, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to make application for and execute any documents related to grants or donations, accept any grants or donations or fees, and appropriate such funds for their designated use, so long as they do not require matching funds or encumber the town. The treasurer shall be notified of grant applications and shall keep a copy on file in the treasurer's office. The second part of that got into MEMA and FEMA claims and grants. And what Mr. Roy's explanation is that those are a grant. I mean, you're essentially accepting it twice. So just get rid of that whole section. You don't need to talk about one type of grant versus another. This article, written how it is currently, accepts it all. As long as it doesn't encumber the town, you can accept grant money.
This is Mr. Roy's rendition.
Correct.
He's working as our consultant.
He's working as, until we fill the treasurer position, he's assisting, correct.
We're very fortunate.
Okay. I mean, and that's perfectly, simple is better.
Yes,
Right, this
yeah.
is the one that was in conflict with Article 36.
No.
Right, it's
No.
not in conflict.
Well,
It's not
it,
anymore.
it won't be, but you're right, that's the one that's
That's
tied
the
to
one that was on,
36,
yeah.
which we'll get to.
All right, so,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we, accept the, how do we wanna say this?
Approve the article as written?
Okay.
Approve the article is written, yeah.
It's not an amendment.
No, because we took out all that strike through. That's why I brought you the warrant, so if you follow along with that, you'll see that just the current is listed there.
Yeah.
Okay.
With no recommendation from you guys yet.
Yeah, okay, so I'll make a recommendation, we accept the article as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right, next page goes to Article 35. This was the carry forwards that you didn't have the balances yet from. Mr. Roy was working to get those all tied together, so they are listed there before you. As of December 31st, he is now gotten remote access into our Trio software. He's rewriting the general ledger that we talked about, renaming all those accounts and getting everything tied up. Just probably about an hour ago, I got an email from him saying that he's tied them into February 28th. So the board will see those Wednesday, but at least this gets you through the end of the year.
Okay. All right, so, and this was the one that we had voted down because we didn't have the fund balance.
Exactly.
We didn't have the fund
Right,
balances.
so now that we have them, and the article was to see if the town will vote to carry forward the following fund balances and allow the balance to be appropriated to the designated department for the ensuing year. So I will make a motion to approve the article as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. And you can see on that the ARPA got spent down, the reval got spent exactly. West Shore, this was as of December, it had one more payment coming out of it, so it'll be pretty much done. So these numbers are in good shape and they've been audited.
Just one quick question on the funds here. The Private Road Association Fund, that's Article 43, right?
Yes, ma'am.
They realize that that is almost depleted?
They see the same document that you see.
Okay.
There is
Yeah.
still time, should you want to bring that up Wednesday?
No.
Okay.
No?
And I believe that's as of December, we may have paid out since then. What was it in here?
Oh, yeah.
7,000?
Yeah, I know that there had been some funds applied for.
Yeah,
I don't remember if
798.
it was
I mean,
after
yeah.
December or not.
On the top.
Do I dare ask what it was for?
This is the Article 43 funds,
Right.
where private roads, if they met certain stipulations and statutes, they could get up to $3,000 once a year. I think we've only paid out once since then, if I'm thinking of the balance.
Yeah.
But that would be a conversation for the board if they
Yes,
wanted to.
absolutely. I just wondered if any conversation had been.
No, they haven't given any instruction.
Okay. Article 36.
Okay, so Article 36, we also appreciate you considering revoting, and this was the one that you pointed out had a conflict, and we appreciated that. Mark Roy also wrote this one. So what it's gonna say is, to see if the town will vote to transfer the unexpended balance of the FEMA Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund into the unassigned fund balance and terminate the fund. So right now, there is, let's see, 30 some odd $1,000 in there, 31,059. And remember, when we have a disaster, depending on when the state deems it's a disaster, we go ahead and pay all the expenses to fix the road, to fix the, so they deem it a disaster, we send all the paperwork in. Months, sometimes a year goes by, when a new fiscal year, they get reimbursed. So in the past, they had put it in this fund, but there's really no reason to. It should either just, if it's in the same fiscal year, maybe you hit that account that you expended out of. If it's not, it just goes in the unassigned fund balance because you've already paid for the repair. So this is gonna empty that 31,000 and get rid of the account altogether.
And you have to document to FEMA that the money
Oh,
was
we have,
spent.
absolutely, they want
Yeah,
lots and lots of
everything goes in.
invoices.
It's our money,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
a
So
reimbursement.
does that
Right.
30,000 go into the unassigned fund balance in the
It-
sense that, is this part of what we have invested in this TD thing?
So if this article passes, then effective July 1st, that would roll into the unassigned. Whether it goes into that TD investment is a decision for the board.
Okay, so now, in the event, say in July, we had a major something,
Mm-hmm.
a catastrophe, and it's $65,000 worth of a washout of a road or whatever, do we go and take on purpose that 30,000 knowing it's there, or we just grab 65,000?
The board is just gonna, I can't speak on behalf of the full
Well,
board,
no,
but
this-
they're going to just fix the emergency, whether
Yeah.
it come from the road, assuming it's a road, they're gonna fix the emergency, and if we have to replenish it, they would have to have a warrant article to pull out of the unassigned
But
fund
is
balance.
that money lost, that $30,000 lost for the?
It's not lost, it's going into your unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
It's part of your
So,
savings
but-
account.
But it could go for something else too.
It absolutely, if the voters
Right. Okay.
deem
It
fit.
depends on what's affected, like
Right.
if it's roads, you
Right.
would take it out of the road budget and then replenish that
Right,
one.
because we're gonna fix it whether we end up on a
Right.
disaster.
No,
and
I
get
realize it, but
get reimbursed.
we're looking at all this money,
Right.
millions of dollars, it's just kind of. there.
Well, it's
And
not
it-
millions, but,
Well,
okay, go ahead.
it's,
It's,
He's
people,
talking about the
people are
investments.
concerned about, paying money in to the town and it's there.
right.
It's not being used basically for what it was supposed to be used for.
Well, then
And
those-
then every year they want more and more money, and
Right.
that's this law.
Well, the town budget is actually down well over $100,000, so that's not necessarily the case with the municipal budget, but those people should appreciate this money going back into the savings, because right now it's sitting somewhere in a reserve that can't be spent. It's never gonna be spent for the Mother's Day or Patriots' Day storm from 4 years ago. Do you know what I mean? That has already come and gone, we've paid for it, so.
Was that money that came from FEMA, or was that money that came from the taxpayers?
Well, it depends on, we got, that money in that account, it came from FEMA, it's grant
FEMA.
money.
Okay.
If you have another disaster, you apply for another grant.
Well, we don't, FEMA, the state determines if
Right.
an event was,
Was a disaster.
was a disaster, they tell us.
Right.
And then our EMA director's job is to go after the reimbursement.
Right, I got it.
Any other questions? All in favor?
John, you seconded, right?
Yes.
All right, so now we're up to 38, Article 38. This is the article that we also appreciate you considering to reconsider. You pointed out a good point on the computer repair line. When the board decided mid-year to start the website reconfiguration and go through it, we looked at the different computer lines to make sure that we could fund the changeover and get it fixed. We did, in fact, have the excess from the computer repair line, and that's where the treasurer, once the agreement started with the individual who sent it out to bid, all the way through maintaining it each week, they worked out a stipend with that individual. She just started paying him out of a computer repair line because that felt appropriate and that felt like the line the board wanted to pay it out of. What we've since done is cleaned it up so that if you look down bottom, this is the current budget. Your bottom line doesn't change, but under municipal management, you can see the very first thing we do is have website support. So there's that salary, Social Security, and Medicare. And then if you take the time to scroll all the way down to the computer repair and hardware, which started at $16,000, you'll see that it's at a more accurate number of $5,150. So that's for the computers in the office. So we've separated that out for transparency. And when we recreate the new journal lines for the new fiscal year, it'll be separated like this.
Jennifer, on your office assistant deputy, is that one person or is that two?
That's two people.
So you take the total of 90,000 and split it by two?
Well, they have different certifications, so they're not
Yeah.
making the exact same amount. Some
No,
are
roughly, yeah.
Yeah, they're trained in different areas, but yes.
Now, on the health insurance, how many people does that encompass?
The health insurance is going to cover, I'm gonna say, assuming she has fire department in a different line. One, two,
So you have the people in town hall.
6, yep.
Transfer station.
I believe those are in the own lines. I didn't realize that was part of the conversation.
No,
I
I'm
would've-
just looking
yeah.
at it, I'm looking at a large increase from one year to the next.
I think that.
Well, they
we were
also put in,
told-
I'm sorry, they also put in the finance director's, health insurance. That's the biggest jump. It's a brand new person.
Mhm.
And I believe we were quoted that they thought that the insurance was gonna go up.
They did get,
8%.
they did give us an estimate, correct,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I do
came
have
in.
the spreadsheet, if you just bear with me, I
Yeah.
emailed it to myself.
So I was initially surprised at that until I realized that there was the insurance company was requiring a large increase in premiums.
All right, so the other ones, fire department, transfer station are in their own budget, so if you
Yeah.
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 7 employees approximately,
For 120,000?
correct.
Well, it's
No, that's
104,000.
Yeah.
And that's gonna go to 164.
That's 7 employees.
I mean, that's actually, that's quite a bit of money, when you think about it.
Well, is that inclusive of employee and family?
So it's based on, this number is based on what the employee currently gets, what he or she is signed up for. So the town pays up to 85% of family.
Right.
And again, there's a brand new position in here, Joe, that's why there's the significant jump.
That's how I was
And not
saying.
knowing if that finance director is gonna take a
Well, I
single, take it at all, or take a family.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
have to
you're
budget.
talking about a family plan is gonna cost anywhere between $25,000 and $30,000.
Yeah, and I think I heard the superintendent say earlier, his
Oh, yeah, they were.
his insurance was about 30,000, 26, 28,000,
Yeah, so I mean, the significant portion of that increase is the new
Is a new
position.
position, right.
That you have to budget for the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else? All in favor?
Okay, Article 44, you weren't intending on looking at, but we did determine that there was a clerical error in this article. Article 44 inadvertently was brought over with the 22-23 winter maintenance numbers. If you look at an old warrant or any old sheets, you'll see that number was 96,811, and it was increased by 30,000 last year. So I cropped a picture of last year's warrant, the current year we're in, so that you could see there's actually no increase. They agreed to flatline those, but we had to make it match the current year. So that's just an error on our part.
Yep.
But we didn't want to assume that you still approved it, so we're going to ask for a revote.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 44 as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, Article 47 at the bottom, if you're following both. This article, we asked for a revote because we changed some of the words. If you were at the select board's meeting, you might have heard that they preferred clarify better what culture really was, so that you can see the previous. It reads, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $82,997 for recreational APAT, cemetery, forestry, and conservation. Broken down, the numbers haven't changed, we just replaced the culture with what they actually were.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 47 as written.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
I thought other culture was, people that come to the meetings and sit and have a drink with us.
Yeah.
I was looking at the cheese and wine,
You gotta
as well.
read Shakespeare.
Read Shakespeare.
Oh, that's just
Culture.
crazy talk, Joe.
Yeah, you're just getting
Really, God.
very citified. Just to city.
Article 48.
No, no, I mean
Article
facetious.
48, per your recommendation, and the board agreed that we're gonna list out the actual community services.
Jesus,
Are you all right, Dave?
Cody, really.
So, Article 48,
I dozed off for a minute, sorry.
the number does not change, it's still the 94,880. We've just listed them out per your request, and the board supported.
Perfect. That's how, is that how it's gonna show on the warrant?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have, we warrant?
And
I
Yes, in
haven't-
here.
I'll make a
I haven't
motion
flipped all the way through.
to accept Article 48 as written.
Okay, so I have one more that
we
you,
haven't voted
oh, I'm
yet.
sorry.
Voted.
All
Sorry.
in favor?
Got ahead of
Now
myself.
you're all set.
No, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You're a zero, you're a no?
5-1.
No,
All
5-1.
right.
5-1, okay. I'm sorry, Leslie. Okay, so now, it's not in your packet, but if you turn to the very last page of your warrant, there was discussion at the select board meeting last night,
Oh,
and,
That's crazy.
yep,
yeah.
So-
Article 50.
Article 50. So let me read it to you first, and I'll give you a little background. The wording that came up is to seek an advisory vote to determine if the select board should amend the current contract with BreezeLine, formerly Atlantic Broadband, and discontinue the collection of franchise fees. So the select board received an email a couple of weeks ago that they dealt with last night that had a lot of good facts in it. I mean, basically what it said is, listen, I'm a cable subscriber, and I'm paying this franchise fee, but everything that franchise fee I'm paying for is displayed on the internet. Everything you're doing on channel 26 is now broadband through APAT, channel 26, onto YouTube and on the town's website. So if I'm the subscriber and I'm paying that fee, and Joyce doesn't pay that fee, she can get everything that I get just by going on YouTube. So it was a valid point. So we went to, so this is what took us a couple of weeks to look at it. So we went to our gentleman, Fran Bradley, who is the Director of Government Affairs at BreezeLine, and talked to him about it. Said, listen, this is the concerns, you know, what are we thinking? So what he said was, he explained that the franchise fee under federal law is compensation for the use of the town right-of-ways. He says that many towns use this franchise fees for road impairment, some use it for cable, but it's up to the select board to decide if they want to have a 0% fee or up to 5% fee. Town of Acton is currently collecting a 4.5% fee. If the town elects to do so, they can decide to utilize the franchise fee payment towards the operation of a PEG channel or anything else. The town has the option to increase or decrease the franchise fee payment up to the maximum allowed under federal law, which is 5%, or decrease it down to 0 or something in between. They would need to do that through an amendment to the franchise agreement and would need to be signed by both parties. So the board talked about this last night at the meeting, and they came to the conclusion that let's ask the voters. Let's ask the voters if they want this $27,000 revenue, because we do have it factored in, or if instead of that revenue, we move it down to 0, and just your bills, if you have cable, would go down, you know, that much a month. So before, I just want to say one more thing, because you may not know this yet. When the board originally last night talked about this, the question was going to be to ask the voters if they wanted to change it. But we had legal look at it today, and according to statute 3008, only the select board have the authority to make changes to this cable franchise. So it's right. So we had to word it so to get really, it's an advisement. We want your opinion, yes or no, and then the board will go back. But we couldn't have the vote do something it couldn't legally do. Because if you said yes, get it down to 0, the town meeting doesn't have the authority to change that contract, only the selectmen. That's why it's worded that way
Well, I
for an
think
advisement.
my recollection from last night was we talked about that because we already have the authority to bring it down to
Right.
0. I thought we talked about using the word abolish. I thought that was the distinction that we had agreed upon.
It was, and the attorney changed the word to, I mean, it does still,
Discontinue.
discontinue it. Discontinue. He felt that was a little softer and recommended it, but I did have abolish originally.
Do we
My
have- do
wording,
we
my
have a-
wording got abolished.
Is BreezeLine just taking the money in and then sending it back?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Do we have a number for what that is?
So I actually just got the check in today's mail. It's about $27,000 this year.
Per household?
Oh, it
No.
depends on your
No.
services. It's a it's the 4.5 of your services.
Yeah,
So it
it's
could be
fixed.
different for you and your
So the
neighbor.
more you have,
Yep.
The more,
and actually, it's only on, the television services.
yes.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's, my
Like a
neighbor, my neighbor. ha-
$1.22?
I don't have, yeah, I don't have.
I have
cable.
internet only through Breeze Line, and I don't pay a franchise fee.
Right, right. Yeah, and I don't have Breeze Line at all.
Oh, you're one of those fancy people.
Do you have it, you pay the fee every month?
I don't, all I have is internet.
So you're fancy too.
Yeah.
Well,
Does anybody here pay it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what, do you know what it is roughly?
Not
6
off
to
the
8,
top of
I
my
think
head.
it's, I feel like it's $6 to $8 depending on which package you have, but really, I mean, you know, to go back to kind of what Joe was talking about with, you know, the money and the taxes, I mean, it would come off the revenue, but, you know, at the end of the day.
It's only a portion of
Right.
our
So
taxpayers.
that's
And if-
27 a year.
Right,
Yeah, but I think
27,000.
what it's everybody's focusing right now on inflation, no matter the town or going grocery shopping, and it's there. You know, I hear it every day, and it's just what they're looking at is what is the town doing? You know,
Right.
just like what's going on in the town. You know, the people ask. You know,
and it's, you know, it's a valid point that the writer had, that if we all can see it the same way on YouTube or on the
Yeah,
town's
well, no,
website, why am I paying for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a valid point, so the board looked
You
into it.
picked the right one. I
and they,
see it on
um,
YouTube.
Yeah, and when your grandson comes up
Jen-
and uses your internet and says,
This-
"Boy, this internet is really slow. What's wrong with it?"
Well, I mean, because you've got slow, you gotta pay for the fast internet too.
Oh, do you? I don't know.
Comcast-
I don't know. Do you on
Yeah.
Breezeline?
Yeah.
On Breeze Line, there's
I
different
don't know.
tiers
Different
of
tiers.
speed.
Nancy does that, so I don't know.
Do we get any revenue at all for Comcast to provide services into the community, other than this?
They don't
I
offer.
asked someone who works at Comcast about them coming in because they're in Sanford,
Right.
and he lives in town. He's like, won't happen.
Well, and it's interesting, down on the other end of Milton Mills Road where our librarian lives, she lives, I think, at the other end, she
Yeah.
has another,
Because they're
She
getting
She
it
has
out
two.
of,
Spectrum,
Spectrum.
she's right on the
Yeah,
New Hampshire
Spectrum.
they're getting
So-
it out of New Hampshire.
they'll only come
The
to
same
there.
with the electric down
Yeah,
there.
it's certainly a monopoly, and there's been a lot of talk about trying to get someone else in, but,
And then
Well,
they
they'd
have to buy
buy
out,
the wire.
right, they
all the
will pay the
MetroCast,
fees, right,
they'd have to buy all the Breeze Line's,
Yeah.
infrastructure.
right,
Huh?
And there's not enough of us to make it worth their while.
right. Or do what CMP does, CMP pays, real estate on the poles and the lines, so
Right.
that's hefty, it's one of our highest taxpayers.
Does everybody get electricity back now?
I
As far
just-
as I know. I
Mine
haven't
came
heard.
back just before I came here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That long?
There was
I was
no one
surprised
there.
because we got ours back like at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
Yeah,
about
that's
the
when we
same.
got
And then
Joe, don't you be walking out that door until we vote on this.
I got a cramp on my leg.
Oh, okay.
He looked, I thought he was on his way out.
I did too.
I was trying to-
No, I don't mean to be rude. I got cramp in my ear too.
All right.
I'm old, so. I got-
Any other discussion on this?
No, I'm just, the only other thing that I see as far as Breeze Line goes, and you go across every state when you go to their website, that they service, nothing but complaints.
Yeah.
Nothing but complaints from this company.
Mhm.
So,
I have more complaints with CMP than I do with Breeze Line.
Mm.
Well, I will tell you, because Acton has a contract, and I hope this doesn't bite me after I say this out loud, but because Acton has a contract, we do have our own contact there, and I'll tell you what, this gentleman answers the phone day or night every time I call him. So if you ever have an issue that you can't get resolved after you try on your own a little bit,
Which
you
company
can
are you
reach out to
talking- which
me
company are you talking
during
about? Breeze
Line.
Line? Breeze Line,
This,
okay.
I mean, this director of government affair, I mean, he, for whatever reason, I don't know if he's on some sort of, percentage stipend or what, but he will handle it. So if you ever have an issue, feel free to
call
reach out.
Jennifer.
After you try a couple times.
Just for my clarification, okay?
All right.
Comcast has service into Acton, but we don't generate any other revenue than this
Breeze
fee.
Line.
Breeze Line, not Comcast.
This is Breeze Line.
Right.
Oh, Breeze
No,
Line.
This is Breeze Line.
Breeze Line.
Breeze Line formerly, I have formerly Atlantic Broadband on there because that's who we actually signed the contract with, and I
Right.
didn't want
Yeah,
them
because
to
they
be
just
any.
changed
Right.
last year.
They,
Okay,
yeah.
Breeze
Yeah,
Line.
Breeze
Yeah.
Line was their new name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no, yeah, okay.
But
So
so-
they're using the utility poles for, they pay the utility
Well, that's between them
companies.
and CMP and the telephone company, who
Right.
actually
It's
owns
not-
them.
They come into the town and we don't obtain any other benefits from them other than being here to provide the internet service.
Right.
It's
be-
big
you should be so
business
happy.
coming into small town, and our thing is, do we want $27,000 a year
Yeah.
plus or minus?
Yeah.
Do we want to accept it? Or would we say to the selectmen, it's not worth their time, they're not good to us, they don't listen to us? Jennifer says, wait a minute, we got our guy there directly,
All right.
and they do listen
All
to
right.
me.
So
Most of the time,
But-
when my internet
you're
goes
gonna
out
get,
is
you're
because
gonna
my
get a
power
reduction
goes out.
in your cable bill because of this.
That's it.
Well,
It's
this
a
has to,
possibility,
this,
but
I
this
don't-
passes,
if it passes.
and the fifth selectman, you know, I mean, they would have to, they'll have they'll have communications about it, you know,
Yeah.
if it passes at town meeting, and then we can bring it back as an agenda item and say, okay, your voters have spoken, what are we gonna do next?
Okay.
All right,
All right.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve this article as written.
Second.
All in favor?
As an advisory vote.
Yes.
And what was
Yes.
that, was that
That's how-
unanimous, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep,
And Ms. Leslie, if I can just ask you a quick question, so you voted on all of your, you voted on the two ordinances, the floodplain and the mooring already. And I know we have that meeting scheduled just in case after the public hearing. So it's a possibility, that if the board, and I haven't spoken to the board about this, if they make any changes after hearing public input, that you may revisit those?
Yeah, I
Depending
mean,
on the changes?
that's the reason we
Okay.
scheduled the meeting, was because of that.
What
Now,
if-
you,
I'm sorry. If memory serves me correctly, I believe that the Board of Selectmen, 04 on the mooring, because there was no
They
way.
haven't voted on the mooring, they
They didn't
voted,
vote on it.
they haven't voted on
They
the
skipped it.
floodplain or the mooring.
What was-
They
what was
voted
the
on
one
the
that they
two
voted?
zoning articles for the, burial,
Yep.
pet burial, and the chart.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
skipped-
I
they
don't
skipped it.
anticipate that there's gonna be any changes to either of those two, because one was written by the state. Wasn't the other one written by legal?
The floodplain is
Yeah, so I don't
written by the
expect,
state.
I'm gonna, a little bit of tidbit, I don't expect there to be any changes to the floodplain, I agree with that.
Right.
The lawyers, at our request, drafted. So we've been passing that mooring around to, you know, to water agencies. The board has had a chance to take a closer look at it. Even our own attorney, you know, has some areas that he may make a recommendation in. I mean, that was just a draft from several towns. That's not, you know, it's a legal document, but it's not, you know what I mean, opinion per se. So there might be changes to that one.
Okay.
yeah,
all
because
right.
it was, what, 17 pages?
It's long, yeah.
And it's like,
So, but we'll see what it's all gonna be about what the
Mooring was
public
17?
The
brings.
mooring's not 17.
yeah.
No,
the-
the
floodplain.
The
Floodplain.
floodplain, yeah.
But the mooring is a lot of pages too, I believe.
No,
It's
it was,
just a
no,
little
it
over
was,
3
it was,
pages.
we got sent like five different,
Oh, you
five
got
of
five
them that
different
was,
things, yeah.
you know, just 5 copies in one email.
That sounds like,
Yeah.
we're shorthanded, we're the best we can.
Yeah, Jennifer, when
Yes,
is the
sir.
road assessment meeting with the road committee?
So, it is actually gonna be on, next week's agenda as far as choosing a date. We've sent an email to Sebago's, cause the board has, and I've sent the, road assessment to the road commissioner chair and asked him to release it. We're waiting for a date from Sebago. I think it was last week's select board meeting. I think they gave me
Were
the
they gonna do
instruction
that
to
in-
do a couple of them at once, the
Were they
rec.
doing that in phases, or was that the complete?
Well, that's gonna be up to the decision of the
Okay.
taxpayers and the voters and how much money they can appropriate.
Yeah.
But you gotta make a plan first.
You got a hand up over there?
Joe's looking at me like, you are not gonna talk.
That's it.
I've only got another 45 minutes to go.
I know.
I got copies of salary that you guys
Oh,
wanted,
great.
and as much as I could get quickly on
Jen,
benefits.
you've got all the votes, right?
Thank you, yes, ma'am.
All right,
Thought you had something you didn't want to say.
I could.
No, don't.
But don't, this isn't from the school, it's not, I did it quickly to get you some information. It's not formatted great, so please don't, done this before, and then people go, oh, you should see the crap I got from the school, you know, I can't hardly
I'd love
read
to
it.
prove
Is
it.
that-
So I'll have the chair pass those out to you. It's not bad, it's all pretty.
How many copies have you got? You got one for everybody, or?
I think
There's a
they
copy,
said-
yeah, there's a copy for everybody.
Thank you very much, I
He's our-
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
He's our spokesman.
Lee, it's quick, like I said, but I was able to get some York County data for the
Yep.
health benefits.
No, that's wonderful,
That's great.
thank you, thank
You
you.
can
thank
edit
you
that
very
C
much.
word.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
All in favor? Thank you.
No,